she secretly got her own apartment instead. Am I the a-hole for getting my own apartment instead of moving in with my boyfriend? I'm a 25-year-old woman, and I've been dating my boyfriend, who's 43, for about 3 months. We actually knew each other before we started dating because we used to work together. At one point, I was even technically his boss before I left that job to become a phlebotomist. He has 3 kids that he has on the weekends, and I have absolutely no problem with him putting his children first. Honestly, I'd be worried if he didn't. The problem is that our relationship feels like it's moving way faster than I'm comfortable with. Because he works overnight shifts, sleeps during the day, and spends weekends with his kids, we barely get any quality time together. We've argued about it more than once because I feel like we hardly get to connect. His response is always that he can't give me more time because he has responsibilities as a father. I understand that, but even though we barely spend time together, he's already talking about us living together, getting married, and even having more children. His plan has always been for me to move into his house. He rents out the upstairs and has been finishing the basement, so the assumption has always been that we'd eventually live there together. Then my birthday came around, and I had a realization. I'm not ready for any of that. I haven't even met his children yet. I'm still trying to figure out what dating someone with 3 kids actually looks like. I'm not ready to move into his home, become part of that family dynamic, or take on a parental role after only 3 months. At the same time, I also don't want to keep living with my parents. I've never had my own place before, and I really want to experience living independently. So, I applied for an apartment, and I got approved. The only problem? I never told my boyfriend I was applying because I was afraid of how he'd react. From my perspective, getting my own apartment isn't rejecting him. I actually think it's healthier. We'd each have our own space. He could visit me, I could visit him, and we could continue building our relationship without rushing into huge life decisions. But I know he might see it differently because he's been talking about our future together ever since we started dating. So, am I the a-hole for getting my own apartment behind his back because I'm not ready to move in? One commenter asked an important question. If you're afraid of how he'll react, what do you think he'll do? They also said every woman should experience living on her own if she can, and that this situation was full of red flags. I admitted that I mostly thought he'd be upset and might even break up with me because things weren't going the way he wanted. Another commenter believed he was trying to move a much younger woman into his home so she could help take care of his children while he worked nights. I replied that he had been with the mother of his children for about 17 years. They never got married, and according to him, she eventually cheated on him with an old high school boyfriend. Another commenter didn't hold back. Oh, honey, he wants you to take care of his children. He's almost 20 years older than you, and it's only been 3 months. Get your own apartment and live your best life. And another simply said, he's too old for you, and you barely know him enough to move in. I honestly would run. Make sure you follow for more videos posted daily. Update 4 days later. First, I wanted to thank everyone for their advice. Some people were kind. Some people gave me tough love, but I honestly needed both. I also wanted everyone to know that I'm already in therapy and actively working on making healthier decisions. As for what happened, I finally sat my boyfriend down and told him I was moving into my own apartment. To my surprise, he handled it much better than I expected. I explained that this wasn't about running away from him. It was something I needed to do for myself. I've never lived on my own before, and I want the chance to build my own independence before making such a huge commitment with someone else. He said he didn't want me to struggle financially by living alone, but I explained that I'd already planned everything out. I had the security deposit ready. I'd accepted a new job that paid more, and I had a budget that made me confident I could support myself. Then the conversation took another turn. He told me I had about a month to meet his children because he wanted our relationship to become more serious. I told him I still wasn't comfortable with that. It wasn't that I was afraid to meet his kids. I was afraid of meeting them before I knew this relationship would actually last. The last thing I wanted was to become part of their lives and then disappear if we broke up. I also told him something else. I'm not ready to step into a parental role. I'm not his wife, and I'm not looking to become a babysitter. I'm a 25-year-old woman who wants to experience a more traditional relationship before helping raise someone else's children. I think that conversation made both of us realize something. We're simply in different stages of life. We decided to take some space from each other, and honestly, I think it's probably going to become a breakup. I've accepted that because I know what I need right now, and I don't think either of us should have to give up something so important. On the bright side, I officially put down the security deposit on my apartment. I'll be moving in at the beginning of July. I'm excited. I'm nervous. But for the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm making decisions for myself instead of trying to squeeze into a life I wasn't ready for. One commenter summed it up perfectly. The most important lesson I've learned is to put my happiness and well-being first. Another shared a similar experience. They also chose to get their own apartment instead of moving in with an older partner after only seeing each other on weekends. Just 3 months later, they realized they weren't actually compatible, never moved in together, and ended up staying happily in that little apartment for 6 years. Another commenter praised her for being so thoughtful about not meeting the children too soon and for setting clear boundaries about not becoming an instant babysitter. So tell me, am I the a-hole